Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1. Reece James sent off double digits for bookings. Wait, more? 11 bookings in this game? Absolutely insane. 4 goals from Newcastle. Chelsea very, very poor. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do you know what this game was? Apart from a thrashing, this game was a demonstration of a very mature and settled team in Newcastle, who weren't all having it their own way. That's at times, especially in the first half, being outplayed, that were just settled. Versus an absolutely petulant, immature, and unsettled team in Chelsea. And when your captain is leading the charge for this with a really silly, needless first yellow card for kicking the ball away petulantly, and then getting a second, knowing he's got a second booking, being sent off. You look to your most senior player on the pitch, your 39-year-old Brazilian legend in Thiago Silva. Is he offering that steady, calming influence? No, brother is doing the samba over the ball and going out for a corner, like conceding a corner when in possession. Dude is literally like dancing over the ball, and then he just gives it away later on in the game. Look, we'll talk about Thiago Silva, we'll talk about all of this, but like that lazy foot against City, a very poor game today. Oh my word, Chelsea were battered.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
International breaks. It always happens. Playing really well, the international break comes, the international break ends, we play like complete anus. Pochettino not available for selection. He could have done better than some of these kids. He was in the stands for getting a third yellow card, I think, because he obviously wanted the chin Anthony Taylor, like many of us do want to. So therefore he was serving a ban up in the stands. Maybe it affected us, maybe it didn't. We had a couple of changes to the lineup, which we'll talk about now. Firstly, 4-3-3 from Eddie Howe from Newcastle, like we explained in the preview. I thought we'd do a lot better than we did. They had some players back. Trippier was good to go. Livramento played left back. They had Lascelles and Cher in front of Nick Pope, who made a few great saves. Joe Linton's just magically good to go next to Bruno Guimaraes. They're also partnering a youngster there. And magically, Alexander Isak is good to go for Chelsea, knowing our luck. It's just how it works. And Almiron also, after being injured in the previous game, is magically ready for Chelsea. Now, this always happens. I joke about all the time how Wilfried Zaha would be out for like 10 months, but just teleport to fitness had he been playing Chelsea. But I suppose many of us think about that in our own team. A robust 4-3-3, but one that know exactly what they are doing. Now, Chelsea. We played our usual formation, but Moises Caicedo, coming back late from international duty with Ecuador, didn't start the game and he featured off the bench. So we played instead Leslie Ugochukwu, and that's fine. Like, that is, people might think, oh, you know, play a different system with a number 10 and maybe, I don't know, something else. But no, Leslie Ugochukwu, actually in his Chelsea career, I know he didn't have a great game here, but he looked quite like a bit of a surprising inclusion. And if you said to me, Jan, you know, this is not like a friggin' Champions League final, if Caicedo can't play, could you start Ugochukwu? I'd go, yes, profile-wise, he's perfect to replacement. He's the most perfect replacement for Caicedo. So no issues with that. We saw Sanchez in goal. We saw who I think was... We'll talk about player performances. So strap yourselves in and hold tight a bit later. Kugre at left back, which I think we're all fine with in terms of, you know, before the game. Reece James at right back. And the Thiago Silva played at right centre-back. Maybe that's why he was poor, because he's been playing left centre-back next to Disasi, and Badiashile played at left centre-back. Now, everyone in that back four shamed themselves at one point throughout this game. We saw the midfield three of Fernandes and Conor Gallagher. I'm looking at who scored. They've got it as a 4-2-3-1. I think it was just a normal formation, Ugochukwu instead of Caicedo, flanked by Fernandes and Gallagher. Maybe it was a 4-2-3-1, and that's why, because it was a different formation, we looked worse, maybe. I don't know. So Conor Gallagher also, yes, more on him in a bit. And the front three of Nico Jackson, Raheem Sterling, and Cole Palmer, which, by the way, like, that's our first choice front three as things stand. We saw substitute appearances from the aforementioned Caicedo coming on for Ugochukwu. We saw Colwill come on when Reece James got sent off. We saw Madueke and Mudryk coming on, as well as Armando Broja. I expected to see Broja and Mudryk. But yeah, first half, ladies and gentlemen, we played pretty well. We had far more shots on target than Newcastle did. They scored the opener from Alexander Isak in the 13th minute. I wonder if Cucurella did poorly to let Isak get away. It's one of those goals that in real time I watched, I was like, well, he's so obviously offside. And then actually, when you look at the replay, he's like comfortably onside. So it was an excellent run and ball. But I don't think Cucurella looks good on that goal. Whatever though, like, you know, fine. They go ahead, they're home, it's a good goal, catching us cold. Raheem Sterling scores a free kick. He wins it, a little bit soft, I think. But ultimately, if Kieran Trippier is going to be fully behind him and put his arms on his shoulder, then you're trying to, you know, you're buying a ticket to a really negative raffle that you probably will win. And then Raheem Sterling, to his credit, scores a great free kick. He's having a good season, Sterling. You know, he's not amazing season by standards, but he's having a good season, and that's why this conversation of, you know, Gareth Southgate and comparing him to, like, you know, Marcus Rashford's season. I think Sterling's got like 6 goal involvements in 12 games, as well as quite a lot of creative metrics stuff as well. You know, so, you know, and he's scored in the cup, Sterling. He's doing well. He's having a good season. You know, we equalise, and at this point, that's the 23rd minute. I think, yeah, we're going to win. I feel like we're going to win. We've got more shots on target. We're sort of settling. We do look a little bit like there's just something missing. Like, you know, there's a few moments where, you know, Pope makes an absolute wonder save against what should have been Enzo Fernandez's first goal for Chelsea. He rifles it, and Pope makes a pretty magnificent save. He made quite a few saves, actually, in this game. And, you know, I'm just thinking Conor Gallagher misses a chance where he sort of puts it wide. He should have done better. And Conor Gallagher also misses a sitter. I think this is all within the first half. And we see we see four yellow cards, I believe, in the first half. Joe Linton, Jamal Lascelles. Actually, no, Jamal Lascelles was the beginning of the second half. So 3 yellow cards. It was Kieran Trippier, Ugochukwu, and then Joe Linton. The second half starts. Jamal Lascelles puts his arm out because he realises he misplaces the pass. Nico Jackson runs onto it. He puts his arm up to stop him. You know, he's basically trying to make up for his mistake, and he gets a yellow card. Reece James sits over this free kick and does a terrible shot. Now, I want to talk about Reece James because that Joel Linton yellow card at the end of the first half, which was a very, very dark yellow. It wasn't a red card, but he, again, Reece James knocks it around him and then gets in front of him, and he sort of clotheslines his head, like Joel Linton clotheslines Reece James's head. And it's like an aggressive, I've messed up this phase of play here. I'm not going to let him run past. I'm going to do this. So, yeah, it's not a red card. I think VAR might have checked it, but, you know, it's not a red card for me. But it's very, very strong yellow. And Jason Tindall, now, he's a notorious CUNT. He's probably the biggest demonstration of main character syndrome in Premier League football of someone who isn't the main character but wants to be. He decided to argue with Reece James about this decision. I don't know why he's arguing. I feel like when he looks back at that, he'll be like, oh yeah, that's like a nailed on booking. But, you know, poor from a grown man from Jason Tindall, but it's kind of what we expect. It's not what you expect from your captain. And literally, from that stoppage time moment from Reece James and Jason Tindall, Reece James is a terrible game. And up to that point, he was looking like Reece James, like the best player on the pitch, like, you know, Chelsea's captain. But he just shows absolute emotional immaturity from getting into that exchange with Tindall and from further on from there. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? And like, actually, it was instantaneous. He had that argument. He took the worst free kick I've ever seen as soon as he'd finished arguing with him. And from then on, ladies and gentlemen, he was poor. Of course, he got the yellow in the 55th minute early in the second half. So 1-1, I think we're pretty good for it. We start the second half relatively good. But Gordon assists Jamal Lascelles for them to go ahead 2-1. And yeah, it's a good finish. I think we let him go way too easily, and he sort of makes up for that, like, you know, shaky start Lascelles. And he's not like, he's having a bit of a renaissance Lascelles, but he's not a starter when everyone's fit for for Newcastle, and they go ahead, which is kind of like, it's very frustrating. We've been a bit, poor, but like, it's okay, it's manageable. Now, literally within seconds, we've already had by this point the peculiar Thiago Silva like samba over, like just tripping over the ball and it goes out behind him for a corner. Something very like comical, like peculiar, that you'd laugh if you saw it in Sunday League, and this is Thiago Silva doing it. So, weird. Again, I do wonder if it's because he's playing on the other side than what he's usually used to. But he just absolutely just gives the ball away to Joe Linton, who just finishes it. And he completely gifts them a goal. I'm looking on Who Scored ratings here, and the lowest of all Chelsea players by far is Thiago Silva, 5.1. The one behind him is 5.5, which is Sanchez. So even Reece James has got a higher rating than them. And, and then we're 3-1 down in the 61st minute. So it's seconds of madness, and it's that immaturity. And again, if you're getting it from your 39-year-old seasoned Brazilian legend, and then Pochettino, who's not on the sidelines, he's in the stand, I guess he gets word down, and we make a triple change. Conor Gallagher, and we're going to talk about player performances, so don't worry. Conor Gallagher came off, Nico Jackson came off, Leslie Igochukwu came off, and we bring on Armando Bria, Mudryk, and Caicedo. I think at this point we're definitely playing a kind of a 4-2-3-1, because the only midfielders we have on now are Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Reece James in the 73rd minute puts in a silly foul, and he knows exactly what he's done. He already starts taking his armband off, and and it's just so poor. It's so poor from the captain. So poor from the captain in this scenario. All you can do is criticise him. That first half, he looked very, very good indeed. He was playing some excellent inside inverted diagonal balls. He was looking strong. He was tracking back well. He was occupying the right space. All the stuff you expect from Reece James. And then just no excuse for that. Cole Palmer is sacrificed, so Levi Colwill can come on at left back, and Cucurella can move over to right back where Reece James was once playing. And yeah, man. And speaking of those two players playing fullback now, Cucurella and Colwill, they both get booked. So at this point, that makes 10 bookings. Matt Ritchie later gets booked just needlessly in stoppage time, which would make 11. They make some changes, and Miggy Almiron assists Anthony Gordon to make it 4-1, and then they make 4 changes after that, but they're charity changes to youngsters giving out debuts because they're 4-1 up against Chelsea with minutes to go, and Chelsea have 10 men. And it's just real fun. So, Pochettino was on the sidelines. Does that affect games? That was a discussion point before. I mean, does this demonstrate that? Maybe, right? Just in my freaking preview, I was talking about Pochettino speaking about maturity. And the teacher was away. And look at the severe demonstration of immaturity. It was just profound. Player performances. Sanchez in goal. Very, very poor. Shit. Sorry to swear, excuse me, but very poor. He looks good sometimes, but, he's young. I mean, he's 25, I think, so he's not old. Young. But for a goalkeeper, they go for another 10 years at least from that. So he's not like he's a seasoned, senior player to calm everyone down. Cucurella, I think, had good moments, but he's chaotic, but he is just chaotic. We know what we get with him. Badiashile nearly scored. I think those two were the lesser of the embarrassing defenders, though I don't think either were particularly good. Silva was just awful. And I hate to say it because I adore Thiago Silva. Do you know what I mean? I feel I'm losing focus sometimes. So very, very strange. Very strange from Thiago Silva. I'll say it for the third time in this video. I do wonder if it's because he's playing on the right rather than the left, and he's partnering a new guy in Badiashile. Reece James, good 41 minutes. Got an argument into Jason Tyndall, who, yes, in James's defence, he is a penis, but you don't let that get to you. He let it get to him, demonstrated immense immaturity and put Chelsea in an awful position. And when Reece James is sent off, we still have probably, with stoppage time, 25 minutes to go, and we're 2 goals down. But that's the nail in the coffin. Granted, Chelsea weren't playing great at that point, and we were probably going to lose anyway. but that's very, very poor. Ugachukwu, I'm going to be mindful. He's 19 years old. He's generally been a surprise package this season in terms of positive moments. He's did a few good things. I saw a really good tackle from him. He shepherded the ball out well. He did get booked, and he wasn't amazing. He couldn't really offer what Caicedo offers, but I'm not going to dig him out in this game. Fernandez nearly scored a wonder goal. He's got a relatively high rating here by who scored. I think our second highest behind Raheem Sterling. Yeah, so I think midfield as a rule was very, very poor, but I'm not going to put it down to Fernandez. I think he probably played his role, in inverted commas, fine. Now, Conor Gallagher. Very strong shouts for him before this game of our player of the season so far. And I know it's chaotic and we're in the bottom half of the table or whatever, so you could be like, yeah, it doesn't mean much though. But it sort of does. Like, Conor Gallagher has been really good. He was very bad in this game. He obviously missed a chance. He missed a sitter on top of the chance. And he was just making very peculiar choices. Maybe positionally and tactically he was asked to do different things today in the absence of Moises Caicedo. I don't know. I'm speculating there to try and maybe defend his honour, but he was the worst in that midfield. And it's very unlike him this season. What can I say? And that completed the full complement of what was a very disappointing and dysfunctional midfield today. It just didn't work. Jackson up front, bad but not ridiculously awful. He did a few good things. He just there's a chance with the ball. I think when he did a nice 1-2 with Raheem Sterling, the ball kind of lands shin height just in front of him. Just volley it, bro. Volley it and score a nice goal. You're a Premier League striker. He tries to take a touch and then do something with it. It's easy for me to say, I don't play football. I've played five-a-side with my friends. You know what I mean? I'm not a professional footballer. But freaking hell, bro. You're a striker that's employed by Chelsea. Just hit that with your foot. You play all these deft touches in the lead-up play. When the ball lands just there, you fucking volley. Sorry, I don't mean to swear. It's a family channel. You volley it. Cole Palmer was fine, not his best self, but couldn't hero ball his way from ultimately a poor Chelsea performance in the end. And Sterling, wasn't vintage Raheem Sterling, but probably a bit wet in terms of when he went down for that free kick they won. But you take it when it's your team, don't you? And he scored a great free kick, and linked up with Jackson well, and probably on the day was Chelsea's best performer. In terms of the substitutes, I think they were all bad. Madueke looks like he's got the highest rating here on Who Scored, so you let me know in the comments what you think. But I'm not really going to judge any of them, really, off those substitutes, because it's the players that started that got us into this mess. I'm not going to have a go at Madueke or Mudryk or Breuer, these three very, very young attackers, friggin' aged 20 to 23 or 22, all of them. I think they're all 21. I think they're all 22, aren't they? Madueke, Mudryk and Breuer. All had injury problems and stuff and, have been in and out of the team. I don't know about Mudryk injuries. Maybe slight injuries. Point being, they're youngsters. They're trying to settle in this team. I'm not going to have a go at them. Cole coming on and just fouling straight away just shows his immaturity that he kind of carried from that Tottenham game when he was hooked and we sort of didn't see him start again, did we? He kind of did that again, came off the bench and conceded a foul and fouled someone. That's not what you want to do. Okay, what do we learn? What have we learned from this? Well, I said at the top of the video, ultimately, firstly, credit Newcastle. They sort of do what they do well. They sort of take it a little bit into a dogfight. Lots of passion at St James's Park is what you'd expect. I think they just demonstrate maturity, which we don't, especially because there were times when they battered Chelsea and they deserve to batter Chelsea. It's, the scoreline doesn't flatter them or anything, especially with how we behaved and imploded. But I think there were times where we were outplaying them in the first half, and they don't panic at all, and that's a sign of a mature team. And we sort of did a PSG. They got battered 4-1 at St James's Park. I don't know why I'm laughing. I hate it. But, you got to laugh sometimes. The thing is, bro, had we won this, you'd be like, ooh, top 5, beating Tottenham, drawing with City in a game we might have won. And now starting a hard fixture, Newcastle away, and winning. But we absolutely didn't deserve to win. I'll put it down to returning after the break, maybe Pochettino in the stands, slight change of personnel, and with that, maybe tactics. Again, I can only speculate. I'm not really a tactics analyst, or certainly wasn't watching it in the game thinking, ooh, what's slightly different than normal here? That might be making Gallagher play really badly, which is going to affect us badly. Or is Ugochukwu really doing the wrong stuff that, Caicedo doesn't do for us to dominate the midfield? I don't know. I think ultimately it comes down to emotions, and maybe it's because we didn't have the parent, the teacher, and Pochettino on the side just calming down the children. But yeah, very disappointing indeed. All right, let me know what you think, guys. Comment down below. Hopefully what I said today makes sense. I wonder if I say hopefully if you agree with me, but it doesn't matter if you disagree with me because all opinions are welcome here. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and yeah, peace.